let's just be real for a second. We can all agree that having motivation, man, it feels incredible, right? It's that feeling where you're just on fire, like you can do anything. But why? Why does it feel so good?
You know that feeling? You plan a 10K run, but you finish and you feel like you could just keep going for another 10? I've had my absolute best workouts on days like that. I've even sat down and recorded 2, sometimes 3 videos in one go. Not because I had to, but because the energy was just flowing. I couldn't stop if I wanted to. That's the peak state we're talking about.
So you see, this isn't just some fluffy, feel-good thing. Motivation is when you are performing at your absolute peak. So in this explainer, we're going to break down 2 really powerful techniques. One is all science, the other is pure psychology, that can seriously multiply your motivation. And trust me, these are the very principles that took me from being a lazy, unmotivated teenager to who I am today.
Okay, let's kick things off with the science. Now, you've probably heard the word dopamine thrown around a lot, but what most people think it is, well, it isn't really the full picture.
Yeah, people call it the happiness hormone, and I get it, it's a simple way to think about it. But a much more accurate name would be the motivation hormone. See, dopamine isn't the reward itself. It's the chemical your brain releases to make you get up and go get the reward. It's all about the drive to take action.
So think about it like this. Why does just the smell of a pizza give you a way bigger rush than a salad? It's because, deep down, our brains are still running on some seriously ancient software. To your inner caveman brain, that pizza screams high calories, which means a way better chance of survival. The salad, not so much. So your brain unleashes a huge spike of dopamine to push you, to motivate you to go for the pizza. It's pure survival instinct.
So, if dopamine is what drives us, the big question is, how do we get control of it? And that brings us right to our first technique, dopamine management. See, we all have this baseline level of dopamine, and that baseline is what determines how motivated you feel on any given day. Here's how that plays out.
Okay, so when you do something easy that gives you a ton of pleasure, eating junk food, endlessly scrolling on social media, you get this massive, immediate spike of dopamine. Feels great, right? But here's the trap. After that high, your baseline level doesn't just go back to normal. Oh no, it crashes way below where you started. And that leaves you feeling drained, sluggish, and even less motivated than before. Now watch this, because this is the complete opposite. When you do something hard, like forcing yourself into a cold shower or grinding through a tough workout, your dopamine levels actually take a dip while you're doing it. It's not fun. But afterwards, something amazing happens. Your levels don't just recover, they rebound to a point that's actually higher than your original baseline. And that leaves you feeling more motivated for hours to come.
This is it, exactly. For me, the magic combo is waking up early and jumping straight into a cold shower. And I'm telling you, once I get through that initial shock, that discomfort, I feel like I can take on anything. Suddenly, that boring book on my shelf seems interesting. That task I've been putting off feels easy. You've already done the hardest thing you're gonna do all day, so everything else just seems simple.
All right, let's shift gears to technique number 2. This one is, it's a bit more unconventional. It's a pure psychological tool, and I call it the blacklist. And if you use it right, it can give you an almost infinite well of motivation to draw from. So what is the blacklist? It's a list you keep in your head. And on that list is every single person who ever doubted you, who underestimated you, who laughed at your goals. That teacher who said you'd never amount to anything. That family member who told you your dreams were silly. That so-called friend who smirked when you told them your plan. They all go on the list. Now here's the critical part. You take all of that negative energy, the fear, the shame, the raw spite, and you turn it into fuel. You harness that little voice that says, what if they were right? You lean into the shame of feeling like you haven't done enough. And most importantly, you tap into that deep, burning desire to prove every single one of them wrong. This becomes your power source on the days you feel like quitting.
I want you to really visualize this for a second. Fast forward 10 years from now. Picture those people from your list talking about you. Do you want that conversation to be, yeah, I told him he'd never make it. I saw it coming. Or do you want them to be saying, wow, just wow, did you see what they've become? I can't believe it. I would have never, ever guessed. Which one of those conversations do you want them to be having?
So let's tie all of this together now. Because these 2 techniques, the dopamine science and the dark psychology, they both point to a really wild paradox about what it actually takes to live a happy, motivated life.
If you write it down, the easy life sounds like the dream, doesn't it? Sleeping in, eating whatever you want, constant entertainment. But the reality of that life? It's often miserable. You get stuck in this anxious loop, always chasing the next cheap dopamine hit and getting less and less pleasure from it each time. You're basically on a hamster wheel, running towards a happiness that never really comes.
And this is the paradox in action. The life that looks hard on paper, the discipline, the effort, the challenges, that's the life that actually leads to real, sustainable happiness. By intentionally choosing to do difficult things, you are literally raising your dopamine baseline. You actually start to find joy not just in the finish line, but in the struggle itself. You become a genuinely happier and more motivated person.
You know, I actually lived this. I once spent time in my grandparents' village and did a full dopamine detox. No social media, no junk food, just simple living and reading books. I honestly thought it was going to be torture, but looking back on it now, it was one of the happiest, most content times of my entire life. Just pure, simple joy.
So really, it all just boils down to a choice you have to make every single day. You can choose the short-term pain of discipline, or you can choose the long-term, much heavier pain of regret. So, which one is it going to be?